The Galactic Concorde's council chamber was a cathedral of stars and shadows, suspended in the void between galaxies. Hundreds of ancient alien dignitaries gathered in the great semicircle, their bodies shimmering with bioluminescent tattoos, metallic exoskeletons, and robes that shifted colors like liquid. The air hummed with tension. At the center stood a holographic projection of earth blue and green, fragile against the swirling void. The tribunal had convened in secret. No human had been invited. Admiral Cora Vance, Earth's youngest and most brilliant fleet commander, paced the dimly lit corridors of the hidden Concorde detention ship, Obsidian Veil, bound by force fields, and guarded by silent sentinels. She watched the stars through a thick viewport. Her mind was a tempest. They called humanity reckless, violent, uncontrollable. But these accusations were lies, fabricated by the Orcs, a species whose psychic whispers shaped entire alliances. Behind her, the door hissed open. A grizzled elder of the Cathar, a towering reptilian race, stepped in. His scales glittered like onyx under the dim light. "Admiral Vance," he said gravely, "the tribunal has spoken. Earth is to be sealed within a temporal stasis field. Your people are exiled. You and your commanders will be dispersed across the outer rim as outlaws." Cora's jaw clenched. "This is a death sentence. You know the stasis will freeze Earth in time. No hope for my people." Her voice cracked with anger and sorrow. "And all for what? Fear of our rise. You stole our future." The king nodded solemnly. "Fear is a powerful weapon. The Concorde believes it necessary." As the Obsidian Veil shifted course, Earth vanished behind a shimmering veil of energy, an invisible lock in the timeline itself. No transmission, no rescue could reach the planet again. The exile was absolute, far from the council chamber. Across the fractured edges of the galaxy, scattered human colonies watched the event unfold through hidden transmissions. On the rust-red planet, Hestara Yorlan, a young scavenger with limbs and a sharp gaze, crouched beside a flickering holoscreen in a cluttered workshop. The Concorde sealed Earth. His sister, Lyra, whispered beside him. Her eyes were sharp, a spark of defiance. "They want to erase us." Yorlan slammed his fist against the table. "They can't erase what we carry inside. Our blood, our spirit, will find a way back." His voice dropped to a fierce whisper. "We have too." Back on the Obsidian Veil, Cora was dragged before the tribunal's final session. The Orcs counselor, sleek and pale with eyes like liquid mercury, leaned forward. "Admiral Vance, your species is dangerous, too wild to control. Your exile is for the safety of all." Cora's eyes burned. "You're cowards hiding behind lies. One day, humanity will return, not as beggars, but as conquerors." The council's gavel struck, sealing her fate. But as she was led away, a sudden surge of energy crackled through the ship. Cora felt a strange puller voice calling through time and space in an instant. The world shifted. When Cora opened her eyes, she was no longer on the Obsidian Veil. Instead, she stood in a glowing chamber, surrounded by shifting light. A faint figure hovered before her, her spectral echo of herself. "Older, wiser, Admiral," the apparition whispered, "the exile is not the end. You must become the spark that lights the fire, for the continuance, for humanity's future." Cora reached out, but the figure vanished. In her hand remained a small, pulsating shard, an ancient device encoded with a star map and a message. "We will return. We will reclaim." Meanwhile, across the void, A tiny human child was born moments before Earth's temporal lock snapped shudder. Birth unnoticed by all but a few loyalists aboard a hidden refugee ark drifting far from the Concorde's gaze. The mother, breathing hard, whispered to her newborn son, "You carry the future in your veins. Remember Earth, and remember the oath." The ark slipped silently into the black, disappearing into the outer rim. Back in the Concorde chamber, a whispered rumor began to spread, a myth among the elder races. "Did you hear?" hissed a Eularian diplomat to his colleague, the Terran. "Admiral vanished during the banishment. Some say she didn't die. Some say she became something more." The colleague frowned. "The Terrans are gone, forgotten. They are a warning to those who rise too fast. But far beyond the walls of the Concorde, in the cold reaches of space, a silent fleet stirred. The wait was over. Asterisk the stars had no mercy for the lost. 3,000 years. 3 millennia of wandering through the forgotten edges of the galaxy. Humanity had been scattered like ashes in the wind refugees on forsaken worlds. Outlaws in shadowy sectors, survivors clinging to life in rusted arcs and forgotten colonies. But they did not break. In the asteroid belt of the shattered system Relos 9. Beneath the cracked domes of a mining colony half buried in crimson dust, Yalan crouched among the remnants of a collapsed reactor. His cybernetic hand traced the fractured steel, the faint glow of emergency beacons flickering above. Around him, the hum of scavengers echoed, a motley crew of humans who had long since abandoned dreams of Concorde justice. Here, survival was the only law. "Yolan, you've been down here all day," a voice called from above. Lyra, his sister, and a mind-clad telepath floated down from a maintenance ladder, her eyes glowing faintly with psionic energy. "The others are getting restless. They want to move out before the next storm hits." Yalan shook his head without looking up. "I'm close," he muttered. "This relic, it's not just old tech. It's a star map encrypted with a signal." From Earth, Lyra's eyes widened. "Earth, that's a myth, Yalan. Everyone says it's locked away forever, a tomb. But it's not dead," he insisted. "The map shows a coordinate deep inside the Sol system. Somewhere, home." The colony's chatter grew distant as Jalen's mind raced. For generations, stories had passed in whispered tones, the legend of the continuance, a secret network of human clans sworn to one day return to Earth and reclaim their birthright. But the Concorde's grip was tight, their surveillance relentless. No one had dared to believe it real until now. Thousands of light years away, aboard the drifting Ark Starward Exodus, Captain Marek Holt stared at the glowing star chart. His crew, hardened veterans of exile, waited in the cramped bridge, faces lit by the cold blue light of their consoles. "This map," Marek said slowly, "could lead us back to Earth. If it's true, it changes everything." A murmur rippled through the room. Marek's second in command, a woman with silver hair and sharp eyes named Anya, crossed her arms. "Or it could be a trap. The Concorde's spies won't let anyone near the Sol system. We've been hunted before." Marek nodded. "True. But if we don't try, we're finished. Earth is our past, our future. We owe it to those who came before us." Back on Rylos 9, Yalan activated the relic's final sequence. Holographic stars blossomed into a sprawling map of the galaxy, pinpointing the frozen Earth cloaked behind temporal fields. But a warning scrolled in alien script one that chilled his blood. "Access denied. Authorized personnel only. Someone's trying to keep us away," Lyra said grimly, her psionic senses probing the map. The Orcs say they've been guarding this secret. Suddenly, the colony's alarm blared, harsh sirens echoing through the tunnels. Mercenaries, black-clad and ruthless, poured through the entrance. Yalen grabbed his pulse rifle. "We've been compromised," he growled. "They know." As the firefight erupted, Jalen's thoughts raced. The Concord was desperate to keep Earth lost. But desperation made enemies careless. Amidst the chaos, Yolan slipped away with the relic clasped tightly. Behind him, the mercenaries' cold voices cursed in multiple languages. In a hidden enclave deep within the asteroid belt, a small group gathered, veterans of 1,000 battles, humans with cybernetic limbs, enhanced reflexes, and minds sharpened by hardship. They called themselves the Exodus Clades, remnants of Earth's scattered children, united by the oath of the continuance. Cora Prime's image flickered in the center of the holotabula, clone descendant of the original Admiral Cora Vance, raised and trained in exile to become the spearhead of humanity's return. Her voice was calm but fierce. "Earth's stasis lock is weakening," Cora Prime said. "The Concord believes it's secure, but time runs against them. The signal we detected it is the call to arms. We move now." Around the table, representatives of the Clades nodded in silent agreement. Meanwhile, far from the reach of the exiles, the Arxay Council watched from their shadowed citadel on the planet Sithra Prime. The pale counselor who had once sentenced Earth to exile paced, eyes narrowing. "The humans stir," he hissed. "The stasis lock weakens. Our lies unravel. If they reach Earth, everything falls apart." A shadowed figure stepped forward, master of Arxay psionics. "We must strike. First, hunt their fleets, destroy their leaders. The continuance must be crushed before it grows." The council nodded in grim accord. The galaxy's most insidious predator would not let humanity return without a fight. In the cold depths of space, Jalen's small ship slipped through hidden jump gates, racing toward the coordinate burned into the relic. Behind him, the distant flashes of missile fire and pursuit lasers streaked the void. He dared a glance back. "The Concord won't stop chasing us," he whispered. "But neither will we stop fighting." Aboard the starward Exodus, Marek Holt stared at the stars outside the viewport. The same stars that had once watched Earth's exile. Now, those stars marked the path home. "We carry the future of humanity," Marek said quietly, "and we will not fail." Deep in the silent heart of the Sol system, Earth lay frozen, locked inside a temporal prison crafted by the Concord's most forbidden technologies. For 3,000 years, its forests, oceans, and cities had remained untouched by time, preserved. As if in a crystal tomb, no wind stirred the leaves. No wave lapped the shores. The world waited until now. On board the Aegis Prime, humanity's flagship and sentinel, the bridge crew stirred from long vigilance. Cora Prime, the clone admiral born of Earth's last command, stood rigid at the helm. Her silvered eyes scanned. Data streams flooding in from long-dormant sensors. Temporal lock destabilizing. The chief engineer reported, fingers flying over the controls. "Pulse detected. The stasis field is weakening." Cora's voice was steady but fierce. "This is it. We've waited long enough." In orbit, the massive Dyson defense structure, Aegis Prime itself pulsed with ancient power. Built from the wreckage of Earth's oldest warships and fueled by arcane technology forbidden to the Concord, it formed a shimmering shield around the blue planet below. For centuries, it had watched silently, a sentinel and a warning. Now, its systems roared back to life. Energy arcs danced along the Dyson sphere's latticework as dormant weapon arrays hummed awake. Automated drones stirred from their bays, ready to defend Earth's rebirth. On Earth's surface, beneath miles of ice and stone, the planet itself responded. Long frozen glaciers began to thaw. Ancient forests blinked back to life. The very soil seemed to pulse with renewed energy as hidden nanite terraforming machines, left by humanity's ancestors, activated. The planet breathed again. Far above, the Concorde scrambled. In the council chambers of the old Alliance, alarms blared, and messages crackled across star charts. The Terran pulse, hissed the Arcsay counselor, pale eyes wide with panic. Earth awakens. Their stasis prison fails. Others murmured in fear. The centuries-old lie that Earth was dead extinct was unraveling. We must strike, demanded a reptilian commander before their fleets regroup. But fear gnawed at even the bravest. No one had faced the humans since the exile, and none knew what horrors or miracles this new humanity would bring. Back on the Aegis Prime, Cora Prime stood before a vast viewport, watching Earth bloom in real time. Prepare the fleet, she ordered. We don't just return to a planet, we reclaim a legacy. Beside her, the tactical officer, a sharp-eyed woman named Celine, tapped through sensor feeds. Recon drones report unknown fleets approaching from subspace. Concorde forces, Cora's lips curled into a grim smile. Let them come. Across the void, the human fleets stirred. Ships long hidden in shadow emerged from stasis bays, their hulls gleaming beneath distant stars. Each was crewed by descendants of Earth's exiled. Children's cybernetic warriors, telepaths, hardened mariners, united by a single goal. Home. Jalen's ship darted through the jump gates. The relic star map guiding him closer to Sol. Beside him, Lyra's psionic senses stretched outward, alert for any Concorde ambush. They're out there, she warned. Hunters closing fast. Yalon nodded, gripping the controls tighter. We've come too far to turn back now. Suddenly, the calm shattered dot from the darkness of hyperspace. A fleet of sleek, black Concorde cruisers warped into orbit around Earth, hundreds of vessels shimmering with deadly precision. Plasma cannons charged, missile batteries locked on. The Concorde struck first. In the void, fire blossomed like deadly flowers. The battle erupted with terrifying fury. Human ships moved with savage speed, striking with guerrilla tactics honed over millennia of exile. The Aegis Prime unleashed salvo after salvo, tearing through Concorde cruisers with devastating efficiency, yet the enemy was relentless. Amidst the chaos, Cora Prime engaged the Concorde flagship in a deadly duel of strategy and firepower. The massive warship, crowned with an ancient relic weapon called the Starbreaker Cannon, aimed to shatter Earth's defenses. But Cora was no ordinary admiral. Her clone blood carried the instincts and memories of the original Cora Vance. She danced through enemy volleys, exploiting weaknesses the Concorde never expected. Below decks, the AI core of Aegis Prime flickered to life. A deep voice resonating through the command center. Admiral, I have located the consciousness of the original Cora Vance embedded within Earth's defense network. She is alive, in a manner of speaking. Cora's heart quickened. Can she guide us? Yes, the AI replied. But her message is clear. The war we fight now is only the beginning. As the battle raged in orbit, a covert Concorde boarding party slipped through Aegis Prime's outer defenses, attempting to sabotage the planet's awakening from within. ship intercepted their dropships moments before they reached the surface. A fierce firefight erupted in the thin atmosphere, streaked by blaster fire and explosions lighting the darkened sky. Yalan shouted orders, rallying his team. Hold them off. Earth can't fall twice. Meanwhile, deep within Earth's ancient ruins, Lyra connected her mind to the planetary network, feeling the pulse of Earth's rebirth thrumming beneath her skin. The planet remembers us, she whispered, awestruck, and it's waking up. Her vision blurred as the planet's vast consciousness reached out, welcoming its children homeward, warning them of the darkness still to come. In the last moments of the battle above Earth, Cora Prime maneuvered her flagship to deliver a decisive blow to the Concord flagship. With a surge of energy, Aegis Prime unleashed a torrent of plasma that shattered the enemy vessel's defenses. The flagship exploded in a cascade of fire and debris. As silence settled over orbit, Cora Prime faced her crew. "We have reclaimed Earth's orbit," she declared, "but this is only the first step. The Concorde will not give up their lies easily. We must be ready." Her eyes scanned the stars, knowing this war, this long-awaited return, was far from over. The void above Earth's blue-green sphere erupted into a storm of light and metal. Starships surged and weaved like deadly predators hunting for the kill. The air aboard Aegis Prime thrummed with tension as Cora Prime stood at the helm, eyes locked on the enemy fleet arrayed before her. "They're throwing everything they have at us," Celine reported, her fingers flying over tactical displays. Concorde reinforcements pouring in from multiple vectors. Their flagship, the Sentinel Ascendant, has returned to engage. Cora's jaw tightened. The Sentinel Ascendant was a leviathan of war, its hull bristling with railguns and a core weapon capable of tearing a planet's crust apart. The flagship that had helped condemn Earth to exile now sought to finish the sentence. "Target their flagship," Cora ordered. "Disrupt their formation. We hit them hard and fast. No mercy." Her fleet responded instantly, a deadly ballet of light and fire. Plasma beams cut through the vacuum, striking enemy cruisers and sending them spiraling into oblivion. Missile salvos streaked past, their warheads exploding in blinding flashes. But the Concorde fleet was vast and ruthless. From the bridge of the Sentinel Ascendant, Arc's Admiral Serthel watched the unfolding battle with cold calculation. His pale, expressionless face betrayed nothing as sensor feeds displayed the Terran ship's unpredictable maneuvers. "They fight with desperation," Seathal mused, voice like the hiss of a serpent. "But desperation breeds cunning. Prepare. The Starbreaker cannon. We end this now." Below deck, Aegis Prime's crew worked feverishly. Engineers rerouted power to shields, while gunners recalibrated weapon arrays. In the communications hub, Jalan's ship hacked into enemy transmissions, relaying real-time data to the fleet. Admiral Celine interrupted, her voice tense. "The Concorde flagship is charging the Starbreaker cannon. It will fire in moments." Cora's eyes flashed. "Divert all power to forward shields and prepare for evasive maneuvers. We survive the blast, then we strike." The tension exploded. The Sentinel Ascendant unleashed its terrible weapon, a pulse of energy so massive it bent light itself. The shockwave tore through space, battering Aegis Prime and its escorts. The flagship's hull groaned under the assault, systems sparking and failing. Cora's voice rang out, steady but fierce. "Hold your positions. Don't let them break our line." The crew gritted their teeth as repairs teams worked at blistering speed. Cora herself took control, guiding the ship through the chaos with instinct honed over countless battles in the swirling maelstrom of lasers and explosions. Jalen's small fighter darted closer to the enemy flagship. His pulse rifle hummed, and he prepared for a desperate boarding maneuver. Lyra, ready the telepathic shield. We go in hard. Lyra's eyes glowed fiercely. I'll hold their minds off as long as I can. The boarding pods launched, streaking toward the Sentinel Ascendant like deadly arrows. As they slammed into the enemy hull, an eruption of fire and smoke engulfed the entry points. Jalen led his team through narrow corridors, fighting off Orcs soldiers with precision and brutality. Every step forward was a battle. Every breath a defiance. Deeper inside the flagship, Cora Prime faced Admiral Cthel in the command chamber cathedral of black obsidian and shimmering light. The two locked eyes, adversaries not just in war but in destiny. You should have stayed exiled, Terran Serthal sneered. Your time is finished. Cora smiled coldly. You underestimated us. We are not the same people you banished. Their dual erupted plasma swords clashed, sparks flying as ancient tech met raw human tenacity. Around them, the ship trembled, systems failing under the strain of the battle. Meanwhile, the rest of the human fleet pressed their attack, cutting through Concord vessels with savage precision. The tide of battle shifted each destroyed cruiser. A step closer to freedom. Selena's voice crackled urgently. Admiral, boarding teams report the flagship's core is vulnerable. We can cripple their command if we act now. Cora nodded, her resolve steel. Yalon, get to the core. Bring that ship down. In the labyrinthine passages of the Sentinel Ascendant, Yalon and his team fought through layers of defense. Telepathic shield wavered under psychic assaults, but she held strong, whispering words of encouragement. Almost there, Yalon gasped, hacking open the massive door to the command core. Inside, the hum of power was overwhelming. He planted charges on the core's energy conduits and sent a final message to the fleet. Core compromised. Evacuate now. Back in the command chamber, Cora and Serthal's duel reached a crescendo. With a powerful strike, Cora disarmed the Orcs Admiral, forcing him to his knees. This is for Earth, she said, raising her plasma sword. But before she could deliver the final blow, an explosion rocked the chamber. The core charges detonated, tearing through the ship's heart. The Sentinel Ascendant shuddered violently. Lights flickered and died as power failed. The massive vessel began to drift, crippled and adrift in orbit. Cora Prime turned to her crew, voice resolute. We have won the battle, but not the war. Earth's skies belong to us again. Prepare to secure the surface. The real fight begins now. Outside, human ships lit the void with blazing trails of victory and the promise of a future reclaimed. The silence of Earth's surface was broken by the distant thunder of engines and the roar of re-entry thrusters. After 3 millennia locked away, the sky above the ancient cities was alive, again alive, with ships bearing the hope of humanity's return. Cora Prime stood at the edge of the landing bay aboard Aegis Prime, watching as dropships detached, fiery streaks tearing through the atmosphere. Below, the planet's forests and oceans shimmered with newfound vitality. But beneath the beauty lurked a war waiting to ignite. We take this world back, piece by piece, Cora said softly. No more exile. No more silence. Jalen's dropship slammed into the cracked ground of what was once the sprawling metropolis of New York. The city lay buried under layers of ice and soil. its ruins a ghostly skeleton beneath wild forests reclaiming the land. His boots hit the ground with purpose. "Remember," he said to his squad, "we're not just fighting for survival. We're fighting for Earth itself, every inch." But Earth was not empty. The Concorde's remnants had scrambled to establish outposts, desperate to hold key resources and infrastructure. Mercenaries, alien enforcers, and traitorous humans, those who had sided with the Concorde, lined the ruins, setting brutal traps as Jalen's squad moved cautiously through the shattered streets. A sudden volley of plasma bolts erupted from the shadows. The firefight was brutal and swift, echoing through empty skyscrapers and shattered glass. Back aboard Aegis Prime, Cora Prime coordinated the ground assault with surgical precision. Holomaps flickered, marking zones of conflict and civilian havens. "Lyra, status on psionic support teams?" Cora asked. Lyra's voice crackled through comms, calm despite the tension. "Engaged, holding off enemy psionics. But the Concorde uses psychic shock troops. It's brutal." Cora clenched her fists. "Send reinforcements. We can't let them break our lines." Yalan ducked behind a crumbled wall as enemy fire rained down. He called out, "Medic, here," and dragged a wounded comrade to safety. The squad pressed forward, every step a fight. In the distance, a towering structure, the old United Nations. Building loomed, partially collapsed but still vital. Intelligence suggested the Concorde had established their command center there. "We hit that place," Yalan ordered. "Take out their leadership." Meanwhile, in the wilderness beyond the city, a group of exiles discovered an ancient terraforming facility, one of Earth's secret weapons. It was damaged but operable. "Activate it," Cora ordered through secure channels. "If we can restore the atmosphere and stabilize the climate, it will give us the advantage." The facility hummed to life, releasing tendrils of nanites that spread through the soil and air, healing scars left by centuries of neglect. But the Concorde was ruthless. Suddenly, a wave of stealth fighters streaked toward the planet, releasing salvo after salvo of orbital strikes. Explosions rocked the land as ground forces scrambled to hold their positions. In the chaos, Lyra felt a surge of psychic energy, a dark storm from the enemy's shock troops. "They're trying to break our minds," she gasped, "but we won't fall." Channeling every ounce of her power, she formed a protective psychic shield around nearby civilians and soldiers. A shimmering dome of light that repelled the assault. On the front lines, Jalen's squad breached the Concorde command center. Inside, the alien officers fought with desperate fury. "Hold the line," Yalan shouted, firing relentlessly. "For Earth." As the command center fell, the enemy's control over their forces faltered. Confusion spread like wildfire among Concorde troops. Cora Prime received the news with grim satisfaction. "This victory is ours, but the Concorde will regroup. Prepare for their next strike." She gazed out at the horizon where the sun rose over a world reborn, world worth fighting for. The battle for Earth had begun. The dust had barely settled over the ruins of the Concorde command center when whispers of dissent began to spread through the ranks of humanity's reclaimed forces. Victory tasted sweet, but the scars of exile ran deep, and not all hearts beat with the same rhythm. Cora Prime paced the war room aboard Aegis Prime, eyes scanning reports flooding in from every front. The war was far from over, but a darker threat brewed within, one that no laser or plasma bolt could destroy. Yalan, Cora called into her comlink. "I need you on the Aegis Prime. Something's come up." Minutes later, Yalan entered the room. the weight of battle still visible in the grime on his uniform and the tightness in his jaw. "What's the situation, Admiral?" he asked. Cora didn't mince words. "There's talk of betrayal. Some of our own have been collaborating with the Concord or worse, seeking their own power at Earth's expense." Jalen's eyes narrowed. "Who? Not yet clear," Cora admitted. "But it's enough to threaten everything we've fought for." On the ground, the tension simmered. The clades once united by exile were fracturing. Some viewed the struggle for Earth as a chance to seize control, to become kings in a new world. Others remained loyal to the old oaths of unity and justice. In a shadowed chamber beneath the reclaimed United Nations building, a clandestine meeting took place. High-ranking officers, some human, others alien mercenaries who had pledged allegiance to the continuance, gathered in hushed tones. "We can no longer follow Cora's command blindly," said a tall man with a cybernetic eye. "Her vision is noble, but Earth is big enough for all of us if we claim it." A woman with cold, calculating eyes nodded. "The Concord's grip weakened, but if we do not act swiftly, we lose the advantage. We must consolidate power." The group's decision was clear. A coup was brewing. Meanwhile, Lyra's psionic senses prickled with unease. She sat quietly. In her chamber aboard Aegis Prime, her mind reaching out to the scattered consciousness of their forces. A dark pulse rippled through fear, deception, and betrayal. She sought the source. Jalen's mission shifted. From frontline warrior to investigator, he began probing strange transmissions, intercepted communications, and shadowed movements among their ranks. Each discovery was worse than the last. One evening, as Yalan reviewed data streams, a coded message slipped through the Statica meeting point deep within the old underground tunnels beneath New York's ruins. He moved quickly, accompanied by a small team of loyalists. The tunnels were a maze of forgotten history, lit only by their flashlights, and the echoes of distant drips. They reached the rendezvous just as figures emerged from the shadows, familiar faces twisted by ambition. Jalen's heart pounded. Among them was Captain Rian Voss, once a trusted commander in the Continuance fleet. "Rian," Jalen's voice was sharp. "What is this?" Rian's smile was cold. "A new order, Yalan. One that will rule Earth, not just fight for it." The betrayal cut deep. A fierce fight erupted in the tunnels, blaster fire ricocheting off ancient walls. Jalen's squad fought with desperate resolve, but it was clear the conflict was more than physical. It was a battle for the soul of humanity's future, back on Aegis Prime. Cora felt the tremors of betrayal ripple through her command. She gathered her closest advisors. "We must root out this treachery before it poisons us all," she said. "But we must also remember why we fight. Earth's future depends on our unity." As the political struggle threatened to tear them apart, a more immediate threat loomed in orbit. The Concord was regrouping, their forces massing for a brutal counterattack. The enemy was exploiting humanity's fractures, preparing to strike. At their weakest point, Lyra closed her eyes, reaching out with her mind across the stars and across her people. "We cannot fall to infighting. Earth needs us united." Her words echoed through the psychic network, a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. On the ground, Yolon prepared for a final confrontation with the traitors. The tunnels would be their battleground, and the fight would determine not just the control of Earth, but the soul of the new humanity rising from exile. As the shadows lengthened and the stars watched silently, one truth became clear. The war for Earth was as much within as without. The underground tunnels beneath New York breathed with shadows, ancient dust and the ghosts of forgotten wars. For 3,000 years they had lain silent until now, when their labyrinthine corridors echoed with the footsteps of men and the harsh whispers of treason. Jalen's squad moved cautiously, weapons ready, hearts pounding with the weight of the mission. They knew this confrontation could decide Earth's fate. "Stay sharp," Yolan warned, his voice barely above a whisper. "They're dangerous and desperate." Ahead, flickering lights revealed the gathering of conspirators. Captain Voss and his shadow council, surrounded by mercenaries and disillusioned officers. The air was thick with tension. "We didn't want this war," Rion said coldly when Yolan stepped into the chamber. "But leadership requires sacrifice. Korra's vision is flawed. We offer a new path, strength through control." Jalen's eyes burned. "Strength without freedom is tyranny. We fight to reclaim Earth, not to build a prison of our own making." The standoff shattered as blaster fire tore through the chamber. Jalen's team returned fire, sparks flying. As the tunnel walls shook, amidst the chaos, Lyra's voice came through the comlink, calm and commanding. "I'm linking to your minds. Focus, block out fear, trust me." The psychic shield she created wrapped around Jalen's squad like a shimmering cocoon, dampening the enemy's mental assaults and boosting their resolve. The battle in the tunnels was brutal. Corridors echoed with cries, gunfire, and the heavy clang of combat. Jalen's squad fought with ferocity born of desperation, not just to survive, but to save humanity from tearing itself apart. Meanwhile, on the surface, Korra Prime rallied loyal forces. "We cannot allow division to weaken us. We must hold Earth as one." Her voice was broadcast across the planet, a beacon of unity amidst the growing storm. Back underground, Rian Voss pressed forward, cutting a swath through the defenders with ruthless precision. His cybernetic eye glowed ominously as he faced Yolan. "Directly. This ends now," Rian growled, charging with a plasma blade. Yolan met him, the clash of their weapons lighting the tunnel in violent flashes. Each strike was a battle of wills, the weight of 3,000 years of exile and hope pushing them to the limit. Lyra's psychic shield flickered under Rion's assault, but her mind remained unbroken. "Yalon," she called urgently, "he's tapping into our neural link. You must break his focus." With a surge of strength, Yalon feinted left, then plunged his blade through Rion's defenses. The cybernetic commander staggered, the glow fading from his eye. The battle ended abruptly. As Rian collapsed, his followers surrendered, the coup broken. Jalen took a breath, his body shaking with adrenaline. "Earth belongs to all of us. We must build, not destroy." Back on Aegis Prime, Korra received the news with a mixture of relief and resolve. The wounds run deep, but our unity has won this fight. Her gaze drifted to the viewport, where Earth's blue oceans and green countenance stretched endlessly. "We have reclaimed our home," she whispered, "but the true battle for its future has just begun." In the shadows, unseen eyes watched, the Concord regrouped, their next assault looming ever closer. Earth's defenders prepared, stronger and more united, ready to face the darkness from beyond the stars, from within their own ranks. The air trembled with tension as Earth's defenders prepared for the storm. Above, the remnants of the Concord fleet gathered, a shadowy armada hungry for vengeance. The battle that would decide the fate of humanity and of the planet itself was about to begin. Korra Prime stood on the bridge of Aegis Prime, her eyes locked on the approaching enemy forces. Around her, the fleet buzzed with activity, ships bristling with weapons, engines glowing with latent power. Today, we fight not just for Earth, but for the future of our species, she declared to the assembled commanders. No more exile. No more fear. We take our home. In the skies above, the first salvo erupted. Laser beams and plasma bolts cut through the void as human and Concord warships clashed in a maelstrom of fire and fury. The Aegis Prime led the charge, weaving between enemy cruisers. Striking with deadly precision, Yalen piloted his fighter squadron with unyielding resolve, coordinating strikes against the Concord's heavy hitters. His voice crackled over the comes, calm but fierce. Keep the pressure. Target their command ships. Break their formation. Lyra floated in the psychic nexus, her mind a beacon of calm amidst the chaos. She reached into the enemy's collective consciousness, sowing confusion and doubt. The Concord's minds fracture, she reported. Their cohesion weakens. But the Concord was desperate and dangerous. Their flagship, the rebuilt Sentinel Ascendant, unleashed its core weapon once more. A massive energy beam tore toward Earth, threatening devastation. Cora made a decision. Divert all power to shields and launch the counterstrike team. Yalon, you're with me. We're going to stop that cannon. Jalen's fighter squadron flanked the flagship as Cora led the boarding team. They breached the Sentinel Ascendant's hull amid a storm of enemy fire, fighting their way to the core chamber. Inside, the air was thick with tension. Orcs soldiers swarmed, but the humans fought with unparalleled tenacity. Cora confronted the Concord's new admiral, a fierce warrior who bore the scars of past defeats. This ends now, Cora said, raising her plasma sword. Their battle was fierce and unrelenting, sparks flying as ancient technology clashed with human determination. Meanwhile, Yalen reached the core control panel. With expert hands, he initiated a shutdown sequence, dodging attacks as the countdown began. Lyra's psychic shield enveloped the team, holding off mental attacks as the core destabilized. The chamber shook violently. With a final surge, Yalen sealed the shutdown, and the Sentinel Ascendant convulsed. The core weapon powered down, its threat extinguished back in space. The Concord fleet faltered. Human forces seized the moment, pressing the attack with relentless vigor. The enemy armada shattered, pieces drifting like debris against the stars. Cora and Yolon regrouped aboard Aegis Prime, battered but victorious. We've won a future for Earth, Cora said softly. Not just survival, but hope. On the surface, humanity's reclaimed home thrived. Forests grew, cities rebuilt, and generations born in exile finally walked freely on their ancestral soil. Yet the stars beyond still held mysteries and threats, but Earth's defenders stood ready, united by the trials of exile and the promise of home. The end.